What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of my hip hop review. This is your boy Reg here, and the album I'm about to talk about today is Master Ace's debut solo album, Take a Look Around, released in 1990 on Cold Chillin' on the Warner Brothers. Just a little disclaimer: this is actually the 1995 reissue, and you can tell because it says the best of Master Ace. So yeah, I'm gonna talk about more about that in a minute. But yeah, singles album's known for only came out with like 4 singles together, Letter to the Better, Me and the Biz, Music Man, and Moving On. But the best known singles was Me and the Biz and Music Man. Producers include Tyrone Williams, executive producer, Benny Mendina, who's another executive producer, Marley Marl, Mr. C, and Master Ace. Okay, so continuing the reviews of the Juice Crew albums, I've already talked about Kane's albums. I've talked about all the albums from Biz Markie that I have, which that being Going Off and I Need a Haircut. I Need a Haircut being very underrated, by the way. I talked about Coogee Rap's albums except for Root of Evil that I have in my collection, which I want to talk about Root of Evil sometime in August. Not too sure exactly when in August. And so, of course, I don't have. Oh, and I also talked about the Intelligent Hoodlums, aka Tragedy Gaddafi's debut solo album, which me and Steven did that review a while back ago, which was a very dope album. So with that being said, that leaves us with Mr. Master Ace. In my opinion, Master Ace is really one of the most underrated MCs in history. And he's done like a lot of dope shit in hip hop that a lot of people are doing today. I feel like he was really the first one to popularize concept albums in hip hop, which I'm going to talk about that in the future. Um, I always felt like when it came to him, he had pretty much the conventional. I would say like his personality kind of stood out with the Juice School because Kane was a smooth one. Biz Markie was the class clown. Coogee Rap was like the mafioso, however you want to call it. Roxanne Shante was the female. She was like the female talking shit. Craig G. Oh, I'm gonna talk about Craig G too in the future. So yeah, Craig G. That's another story. So I always felt like Master Ace was pretty much the relatable one and shit like that. Like just a guy just having a good time and whatnot. But I'm gonna talk more about that. So for those of you who don't know who Master Ace is, he is an MC from Brownsville, Brooklyn. Um, he got to start when he graduated from the University of Rhode Island in '88, and he had met Marley Marl around the summertime and shit like that. They had like a love for hip hop, and Marley Marl, like I reviewed earlier this year, I believe they had done the In Control volume. He had done the In Control Volume 1, which in my opinion, I feel like that album's a dope album. Personal classic to me and shit like that. It's a classic all around, but there's some people who kind of sleep on that record and shit. So that's all I want to say about that. Okay, so the recording song that he did a debut on was called The Symphony, which if you guys are a hip hop head, you guys should know about the symphony and shit like that. So I'm not even gonna dwell too much about that. And he also had another solo cut on the album. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna refresh my memory because the album's somewhere up there. Oh, Simon Says. He also had a song called Simon Says and Keep Your Eyes on the Prize and shit like that with his homeboy Action. So he had got a lot of clout from that, and so fast forward to 1989, he drops his official solo single Together with the B-side Letter to the Better, which that caused like a lot of noise and shit like that, just raised a lot of anticipation for the album. And long and behold, this album was finally released. Alright. Very dope album cover and shit like that. Just features, Master Ace just chilling, dope outfit, look like he is, I don't know, probably looks like he's just chilling, neighborhood. I always thought he was just sitting on a beach at one point, but yeah. And you got like pictures right here from Master Ace just performing and shit like that. Um, yeah, man. All right, so I've been really ready to do this album for a while now and shit like that, but I wanted to really get Big Daddy Kane's shit out the way and stuff like that. And since I had recently gotten like a lot of Cool G rap albums recently and shit too, so I just kind of got into like a Juice Crew mode recently. So, and I'm going to talk about all of his solo albums and the Masta Ace Incorporated. So I'm gonna talk about like Slaughterhouse, and Chrome, Disposable Art, Long Hot Summer, and believe it or not, I'm going to talk about the shit he done with MF Doom too. So yeah, and I'm not going to talk about the collaboration album he did with Edo G at this second. So stay tuned on that when the time comes. So with that being said, all right. So the reason why I say I make a big emphasis about the 1995 reissue is because let me see. Um, is because like with the reissue, it kind of took some tracks out too, which is for sample clearances, which was very stupid. And the tracks that they took out was Posted High and Together. And it's crazy because Posted High is like one of my favorite tracks on the album. So with that being said, I'm gonna definitely still talk about Posted High and Together and shit like that on the album. So because I feel like I'll be kind of cheating a little bit if I just reviewed the whole. I'll be kind of cheating a little bit. But give me 1 second. Sorry about that. My throat got a little dry. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna just review like the OG copy of the album and shit like that because yeah, like I said before, I hate the fact that they kind of got rid of those songs because of sample clearances and shit like that, which is again stupid. But track number one, "The Music Man," very dope song and shit like that. Probably one of the first Master Ace songs I remember hearing when I was little. Um, it's pretty much like just a braggadocio kind of song. I would say. Very dope. I love the video to it too. It kind of has like a very 40s kind of style video. Yeah, Music Man, very dope song. That's where to begin the album. Track number two, I Got to. Again, another very dope song where he's kind of like braggadocio and whatnot. He has some dope lines I just want to read out to y'all. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention about this album, this reissue. If you really look closely, I think like they use like an alternate picture of this album cover because the original version he's looking like in the other way and stuff like that. So it's kind of a weird reissue, but all right. With that being said, I got to like very dope song. Some of the lines I liked what he said was, "I got to eat my Frank with mustard only. I got to call up a friend when I get lonely. I got to do enough shows because the rent's due. I got to get paid because it makes sense too." Like, it's just basically like it's like a day by day life and shit like that. What he got to do to stay maintaining and shit like that. Kind of reminds me of Diamond D's "A Day in the Life" in a weird way off the Sensibility and Hip Hop album, classic album by the way. Kind of reminds me of that in that vein, but it is what it is. Track number three, "Letter to the Better" remix. Yeah, like a lot of these '80s hip hop albums, they would have like the song, the single, and then once the single got a lot of clout, they would just surprise us with the remix. Um, yeah, remix. It was alright. It was alright. It wasn't really too big on "Letter to the Better" like that. The original version was of course recorded with his partner Action and shit like that. So yeah, very cool song. Track number four, "Me and the Biz," which is playing in the background. One of my favorite tracks off this album. And it's kind of an interesting story. Okay, so if you read the title and shit like that, you would automatically Biz is supposed to be for Biz Marquee and shit. So, but there's a story about behind this song. So, this was originally a collaboration between Master Ace and Biz Marquee, but Biz Markie, he couldn't make it to the studio session, so Master Ace took it upon himself to impersonate Biz Markie and shit like that. And the craziest thing about this song is like, part of me sometimes feel like he done it so well that I sometimes think it's Biz Markie rapping and shit like that. That's the craziest thing about the song, how it just trips me out. Um, yeah, very cool song. I love the sample that they picked for that song. Who produced this shit? Big and Biz. Yeah, Marley Marl and Master Ace produced it. I think they did a thing on this one. Um, And it's kind of crazy because like just the way he was rhyming as Biz, he's like, "Hey, hey, hey, it's me, the diabolical. Yes, y'all, it's time for me to fall into the funky beat and make you have a ball and jump, make you move your rump on the floor and like pump. Come on, don't be a chump. I see 4, maybe 5 live party people. Like he just, he just done that shit so fucking well. And you know, it's crazy too because if rappers were doing that shit today, because it's kind of crazy because like I mentioned, like I'm gonna talk about Black Sunday very soon and shit like that. You know, Cypress Hill was kind of going after Chubb Rock and a lot of imitators because they felt like people would kind of imitate their style and shit like that. But in this case, with Master Ace and shit like that, he's just having fun and whatnot, and you can really tell Master Ace wrote for Bismarck. He maybe around the I Need a Haircut era and shit like that. So Me and the Biz, one of my favorite songs off this album and whatnot. Very original song too. Track number 5, which is The Other Side of Town. Very dope song. It's kind of one of the more conscious songs off this album. Um, Master Ace talking about he's like a poor black man, struggling in his environment and whatnot, and he has each verse dedicated to a black man and shit like that. And it's kind of cool too because it used the classic Curtis Mayfield sample and shit like that too. So kind of gives it like a more somber tone and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, very 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 dope song. Other Side of Town. Track number 6, Ace is Wild. Just Master Ace going in on the mic and shit like that. Very solid song. I like when he said the line, so I just stay and say words to make a head sway. Capital ACE, boys, serving the masses. You better take some classes. Like, just his whole fucking swagger on his album is on 10. That's all I have to say about that. That's Ace is Wild. Very dope song. I love that shit. Track number 7. Oh shit. They even took out 4 minus 3. I'm gonna talk about this after, but fuck it. Track number 7, 4 minus 3. Um, it's pretty much Master Ace rapping over the symphony beat by himself and stuff like that, pretty much. Very cool, very cool. Nothing really to it, in my opinion. Next track, Can't Stop the Bum Rush. Can't Stop the Bum Rush. That was alright. That was pretty alright. So I wasn't really too big on that song to be real with you. Um, Track number 9, we got Moving On. Very, 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 very good song. It's kind of relatable too because he's talking about how he had made some bad decisions in the past and stuff like that. And so it's kind of crazy because the more bad decisions he makes, it's like he has to move on from it. He has to learn from it basically and shit like that. Like the first verse he's talking about his work environment and how he has to work with fucking jerks and shit like that. And he's used to like being on the fucking street and robbing and whatnot. And then the second verse he's talking about a summer afternoon and shit like that, and some shit happened, and then the third verse is just some hood shit. So I liked how when he tells story, he just structures his fucking verses and shit like that. Structures his fucking verses, make sure how it's all different in contrast and shit like that, but it still has like the same point. So that's a very dope song. Moving on. Next track, Brooklyn Battles, my favorite track off this album. Oh my god, man. Man, like Molly Mall, one of my top five Molly Mall beats he's ever done. And they used the Eddie Kendrick sample from like the mid 70s and shit like that too. So gives it like a very cold feel, like you know, it's with that song he's kind of like repping Brooklyn and shit like that, talking about Brooklyn and shit like that. Just how despite like the ills like Brooklyn has and shit like that, he still loves it. He still has like it's pretty much saying I can only talk shit. I can only talk about my environment, but at the end of the day, it's home. At the end of the day, that's one thing I got from Brooklyn Battles and shit. That's my favorite song off the album. Um, some of the lyrics he's like, "You better know where you are first. Try to be rude and chew like a starburst. Now how much juice you got? You couldn't hang if I made a noose and knot. Now try that on for size. Too much baseball, too many apple pies. Like, yeah, man, very dope song. Track number next track is maybe next time. Which was another solid song I would have to say. After maybe next time we have fucking Posted High, which out of all the songs that they cut off from this reissue, this was the one I really wanted. This one I kind of was very pissed about because the fact that it used that fucking classic Crusader sample, and me and Steven, we always talk about the song when we get like on the fucking chat and shit, and it's basically talking about how um just how motherfuckers they made it in life and they have like all this shine and bling and shit like that. And Master Ace, he said he's not fucking mad hating on them because he said, do you, like, if you worked hard for it, you work hard for it, basically. And but he's also saying like don't fucking make material things like define you. And that's very fucking true. Very fucking true that, and you don't really hear that in hip hop today because you see all these fucking rappers these days, repping their fucking bling bling, letting all these material things get in the way and shit like that, that they just let that to fucking define them and whatnot. So Posted High, that's possibly my second or third favorite track off this album, and my personal opinion, Mr. C's best beat on this album too. Next track, As I Reminisce. Okay. I didn't like the beat for this song. Like, I didn't really like the beat, but I liked how he's talking about like nostalgia in his neighborhood, and with this song he has his homeboys. What's their names? What's their names? Hold on. What's his name? I wrote it down too, so bear with me. Master Ice and Unique, and they each spit verses and shit like that too. So they all did their thing on the album, but of course Master Ace, he took home the cake. Um, that's fucking As I Reminisce. Track number 14, Take a Look Around. Again, another cool song and shit like that. And he's talking about the injustices. He's injustice like in this fucking environment and whatnot. Just take a look around you. It's not always peaches and cream in our environment and stuff like that. So last song together, which I mentioned earlier, very cool song and shit. Very cool song and shit like that. With Together, I I excuse me. I'm sorry. I got a little stuffed nose and shit like that. It's fucking together. Just talking about how cats we have to like stick together in this because we're gonna get to that place together and shit like that. That's one thing I got from that place. We're gonna get to that place together. And hold on, my mind was skipping a little bit. Yeah, sorry about that. My vinyl was skipping a little bit, but yeah, that's one thing I got from Together. Is like no matter what, situation you are in life, you got to get to that perfect plot together and shit like that. Like you're gonna get there basically. And that's all the songs off this album. Well, that's all the songs off the original versions out. Overall, this is probably one of my favorite Master Ace albums. This is a very, very, very good album. Yeah, I mean, Master Ace, when it comes to subject matter, he's always doing the thing when it comes to subject matter. Like he's talking about his environment, talking about inner city struggles, talking about, impersonating Biz Markie, like, and even like with all the conscious songs, he's still like having fun with it. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing about hip hop that's much needed today, having fun with your music. Because I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. I like my like aggressive hip hop, my gangster rap, of course, hardcore hip hop, and even Griselda too. I like that shit, but I like certain hip hop tracks, that has like fun energy, that feel good energy. And this is one of the perfect albums that I feel like captured that in a way. But my only gripe I would have to say is like the reissues that they came out with. The sample, like they took out like a lot of fucking songs that I was just kind of annoyed with. But here's the thing though. This album, of course, you guys should know it's out of print. It's been out of print over the years. If you got, I know like you guys are probably thinking like, the CD version, it costs as much as $50 at sometimes. But if you guys can find the Traffic edition of this album that was released in 2007, Traffic has all of the songs intact basically, and they got some remixes, some extended versions, some 12-inch versions. So, but even with the Traffic editions, they kind of go for heavy amount of prices too. They kind of go for a lot of prices too and shit like that. So that's pretty much with the Traffic editions. But I was grateful I found this at my record store because it was only about $16, and I kind of snatched it out the way. I was like, you know what, fuck it. And it kind of didn't hit me until I played this album one night with my homeboys and shit like that. And I noticed that they kind of took some songs out and stuff. So yeah, Master Ace, um, Take a Look Around, released in 1990 on Cold Chillin' under Reprise Records, and it was right after this release that like I keep mentioning, the Cold Chillin' Juice Crew was kind of going downhill. And so Master Ace, he kind of signed on to Delicious Vinyl, and stay tuned on that note. And with that being said, this is your boy Reg here. Later on, today, Speaker Club, we're definitely going to review Jay-Z's The Black Album. So that's going to be a very dope review and shit like that. I cannot really wait because I've had like a very bad day yesterday. I kind of need to release some tension and shit. So shout out to Speaker Club, by the way. Also, there's a 50-50 chance I want to do something for Michael Jackson's 10th anniversary of his death. 50-50 chance. I don't know. I'm gonna keep it under the wraps for right now. Also, one more thing too. Oh, there's two more things. I'm definitely gonna review Bell Biv DeVoe's Poison album with Strawberry and Ashley. This 2026. That will possibly be around 10 o'clock. I'm gonna let them know too. And finally, I have a collection video I might do either Friday or Saturday because Dollar Sale at the record store. So I'm gonna see what they got, what they don't got. And with that being said, if y'all can find this album, you must have in your collection and shit like that too. Master Ace, take a look around. And that's all the time I have for this review. Stay tuned for more. Peace.